Hello and welcome to You Talking to Me, the Euranet Plus debate. Today we are at the European Parliament in Strasbourg, where the State of the Union debate has just taken place. First of all, I would like to introduce our guest today. I'm here with Maria Arena. She's a Belgian member for the Socialist Party.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks so much for accepting our invitation. And I'm also here with Mr. Krasnodębski. Your name is quite challenging. I'm sorry, because I'm sure I said it wrong. He's a Polish member for the Conservative Party. They are both members of the Employment and Social Affairs Committee. Thanks both for being here. Brexit, migration, terrorism, the rise of the populism, they have been, of course, some of the main topics of the State of the Union debate, but also the need of a social Europe has been a key point. In fact, at the beginning of the speech, Mr. President Juncker has said Europe is not social enough. But in this sense, we haven't heard many concrete proposals. Only the only concrete measure he has talked about is the posted workers, the workers that are sent by their companies to another member state in order to work there. We are talking about the polemic revision of the current directive. It has been very, very controversial, but Juncker has said that it's still on the table. So I would like to know your opinion on this, but first of all, let me introduce please the question coming from one of our Euranet members. Is the question coming from Croatia, from the radio HRT. Let's listen to the question by Barbara Peranic.
Hello from Zagreb. Croatia is currently not the only member state that is unhappy with the revision of the Posted Workers Directive as proposed by the Commission. Croatian Parliament, along with a number of others, objected the proposal on the grounds that it interferes with national competences. But in fact, the Parliament questions the idea of equal pay for equal work in every member state. It believes this principle could harm the competitiveness of Croatian workers on the internal market. Do you support this argument, or would you say that wage differences should be considered as social dumping and unfair competition between workers from different EU countries? Thank you.
Ms. Arena, we can start with you. We have clearly here two blocks, East and West, more or less. What's your opinion on this?
I think if we want to defend labour mobility, we have to have common rules for this labour mobility. So I think it's really important when you work in a country, in a certain place, that you are not creating unfair competition. It is really important that in the same place, for the same job, workers are paid and protected in the same way. There is no two different kind of workers. The workers being well protected, well paid, and the others. So if we are really European, we have to protect workers, whatever from where they are coming. So it is really important to do so. And I think that the competitiveness of these workers, it is also because perhaps they are more qualified for certain tasks. So we have to play in this rule and not to play with the competitiveness of less paid people. We have to have more for people in Europe and not less for people.
Mm-hmm. You're from Poland, one of the countries that rejected the proposal.
Yes. But I just wanted to stress this, of course, for us also the social protection and social rights of the workers are very important because in many of our parties, my party is rooted in Solidarność movement, in the worker movement in the 80s, and so it's no that we generally reject this. No, it's very important for us. But on the other hand, we have to be realistic. There are great differences between economic development of parts of the region of Europe, many member states, and we cannot harmonize this, in very mechanical way. I think that there are probably some possibility of compromises. Maybe we can define the period, transitory period for these workers. But I would say we have also take seriously into account this complaint of the enterprises and companies in our region that they will be disadvantaged by this regulation. And one more sentence. After '89 and later also, Eastern Europe opened up the markets very very generously, because we believed in the liberal message. And it was very painful socially. Let us not pay, for our reforms once more.
I want to add something. When we speak about posting workers, it is only for workers who are going in another country to work, and just for a limited period. It is not harmonizing the different system in different countries. I can understand that in some countries the social security is not as high in the other countries. I can understand, and we have to have time to help these people having more protection for workers. Here it is something else. It is just for workers that are working in another country and they are not respected as workers as the other country. So I think if we are defending Europe as a very protection place for everybody, we have to consider these workers as other workers, and not to say because you are coming from Poland, you are not being protected as the other. So it is something.
They are protected, of course, they are protected.
Yeah,
they are
for the
protected
moment,
according to the Polish or Croatian law.
No.
And I think about the situation in which Croatian company, transport or construction company sent for relatively short period, we can define this, their workers to its workers to the let's say Belgium or France, and they are of course protected according to our social and also economic ability of these companies. And I think it's probably that it's a very paradox situation in Europe. On one hand, we concentrated on these workers, posted workers and their rights. On the other hand, there's a tendency in many countries, not only in Great Britain, but also in, let's say, in Germany, there was some public statements by politicians, for instance, to reduction of child benefits of the people who are permanently for longer period.
But we are totally against that. We are totally against that.
We said that if you are should be
there,
against this, but it is something different, when somebody is employed by the company in Eastern Europe, or I would say in Portugal, or probably it is not only the problem of the Eastern Europe, and is sent, let's say, for months or 6 months to working abroad, and then to apply all these rules also for these workers. I would say it's exaggeration.
Yeah, but we have to say that the directive of '96, it is a directive of '96, was meant to protect workers in Europe. This was the spirit of this directive of '96. Now this directive is used by some companies, not all companies, just to abuse these workers. We are in a difficult situation with a very non-protected situation for these workers. So we have to come back to this initial spirit of the directive, saying that these workers, if they are mobile in Europe, if they are in different countries, have to be protected, and we have to protect them whether they are from Poland, whether they are from another country, but we have to fight for that.
Discussion about protection. This is the questions. If somebody from Croatia is working for 6 months in Germany, should they have, for instance, the same paying as a German worker? And so we all agree that should be a minimal wage on this, that there should be insurance and all these things.
In fact, that you mentioned minimum wage, the European minimum wage is also one of the social measures. I guess agreement in this field, it's even farther. In fact, we have been talking about the need of social Europe for a long time. Juncker already mentioned in the speech of last year, he announced the European Pillar of Social Rights. What has changed substantially in this time, and if you can also say a word about this European minimum wage?
I think that I expected, coming from Mr. Juncker this morning, that we could have a very concrete plan of action, because we have had some declaration on the AAA social action in Europe. We are waiting for this concrete plan. And for example, for the pillar of rights, social rights, I want to have something, 3 kinds of measure, legislative measure, to have this kind of social rights in Europe. And what kind of legislative measure we can have for that. But we need to have this kind of action in Europe to guarantee the social pillar for people in Europe. And minimum wage is there. We have to work with that. We have to have accompanying measure, for example, in the semester, European semester, to know if each country is doing its job in this social pillar. And we have to have budgetary means, for example, for the child guarantee. And this is really important to give new generation a better life in Europe.
Are we talking only about nice words when you're talking about the social Europe, as it seems?
Because one question is who will pay for it? Because we are all the same opinion that we should protect the rights. It should be minimum wage, but we know there's a huge difference between, let's say, Bulgaria. I don't now precisely remember the numbers, but it is probably 200 or 100 euro per month. Minimal wage, and I think Luxembourg is the highest, that is about 1,000. Is Luxembourg able to, and the other rich countries, to share the richness, the wealth, and to pay for our social system? Should the German and Belgian, if you are inclined, to harmonize, that is the question: who should pay all this?
Yeah, but for example, when you said that in Poland you have a certain growth, you have to think about how is it possible to redistribute this growth. And we have to have this, and you said that it's important to have trade union and social partners discussion. I think that we have to trust the social partners to work on this and to say we are social partners in Europe ready to pay for that, not only coming from companies but also coming from workers.
Economic reality. Nobody, even our trade unions leaders, will never expect we can reach.
No, but it's a trend.
It's a trend. It's a trend. But you are. This is the question: is the core of Europe, is the old Europe, so-called, ready to? To harmonize, not only to harmonize, but to share your wealth, your richness, not only your regulation.
No, but it's what we have done. No. You know that Poland and other countries have received a lot of help coming from European funds.
No, but we are talking now
solidarity.
We are talking about social rights.
Yeah, but it is solidarity.
This pillar would presuppose, a transfer of money.
You can't say that Europe has done nothing for the new countries. You can't say that.
I am not saying that Europe has done nothing.
One of the countries having received a lot of money for convergence.
Excuse me. When I look around in Poland, I see only Western companies who are not charity organizations, as far as I know. Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's maybe another debate. Very quickly, because we are running out of time. I know it's a passionate debate, but what would be, in your view, the priorities in this social Europe? Very quickly, just mention them.
I would say honest discussion. If we would like to have a social union, then we have to have a huge transfer of the money, of the capital, to support social system in the poor member states and poor regions of Europe. If you are inclined to accept this, I am also inclined
I will propose
to
something.
This, yeah.
I present a proposition on social dumping, saying that the companies, for example, in Belgium, they have to pay social protection for workers, even if their workers are coming from Poland. And they will restore this money to the Polish government to organize the social security in Poland. If they are agree, we can sign. We can sign it, saying that Belgian companies are paying for social security, and it is for Poland to organize the social security.
Would you agree on that?
Would you agree with that?
We can see the solution. Yeah.
So.
Okay, but before talking about the minimum wage, the main problem for Europe is unemployment. We need to have jobs before talking about the minimum wage, probably. In this sense, I would like to introduce the second question of one of our Euranet partners. Is the question from the journalist Olivier Henrion, working for the RTBF, Belgian radio.
10 days ago in Belgium, Caterpillar announced it will shut down its main production site based in Gosselies, and that part of the activities is actually going to be transferred in another factory of the group based in France. So, how can you explain to the 6,000 workers who will lose their job that actually the EU aims to deserve a social AAA as claimed by Jean-Claude Juncker?
Who wants to start?
I can start because I know very well this case of Caterpillar in Belgium. I'm working on this situation with more than 5,000 workers losing their job in a very difficult region of Belgium. So we have to answer. The first thing is to say that we can't accept in Europe this kind of domino building in some companies. They have some place of the company in where they are not paying their taxation. They have the production in Belgium, and they received a lot of money coming from the state to be there. And they are just willing to pay something to the capital, and they are not investing in production in Europe. We can't accept this kind of monopoly system. So as European, we have to fight against the tax evasion. This is the first thing that we have to do, because Caterpillar is not paying his tax.
But in fact, here we are talking, if I understood well, about a country going to another member state.
They are going to another member state because they said, we prefer paying the dividend to our members instead of investing in the production site. So they said it's less expensive to go to France, because in this way we just have one production place in Europe. This is the choice of this company. So they are not paying taxation. They are receiving money coming from Europe and other things, and they are just using and let people in a nightmare for the moment. So we have to fight against this kind of monopoly system in Europe.
Yeah, I agree that the tax evasion is a very big problem, and we should fight against this and so on. But once again, I would like to stress, if you look at such a country as Poland, how many industry we actually lost, and nobody was sensitive to the problem. Our shipyards, which we are very proud of this industry, and there are many. I remember the discussion a couple of years ago about this, and we received so small support from other countries. We have to more open to discuss the situation in different countries. Now, for instance, the steel industry, what is about China and so on, domestic. But solidarity, it means that we can share also our concern, and it's I would say a minimum of empathy. If you know,
I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
totally agree.
But
for example,
it was in the past, it was not the case.
I work on the economic market status for China, and I'm totally against, not because of Belgium situation or old Europe situation, because of the damage it will cause on industry in Poland, but also in other countries. So we have to be very together to work and to fight against
many also European companies behave precisely as you described.
Of course, and we have to fight against that.
Okay.
This is a passionate debate, as I said before. We could be talking for hours. So we are expecting these concrete measures from the Commission to arrive soon, and we will continue for sure talking about all the different proposals we have been mentioning.
We are waiting for the Commission for the defense instrument, because industry in Europe, they need it, the defense instrument, when you are in all Europe, when you are in a globalization system, economic system. So you need this for Poland, for the rest of Europe.
You give also latecomers also a chance,
Of course.
Okay. So thank you very much both for being here, and we hope to talk very soon about new proposals. And thanks for watching. See you next week.